7 ways to leave your past behind and move on. Some of us live in the past. We spend our days thinking back on all the things that happened to us. It's hard to know how to let go. We think we should have done something different. We obsess about the people that we love, the people that hurt us, the things we could have accomplished. Dwelling on the past doesn't change anything, but we think about our painful memories anyway. If this sounds like you, then don't despair. You're not alone, and there's always a way forward. In this video, we're looking at 7 ways you can leave your past behind you and move on. We're looking at how to let go. It's time to close the door on your past and move on to a better future. 1. Make a decision for yourself. Before you can let go of the past, you need to think about why you want to move on in the first place. Many of us feel tied to our past, for better or for worse. We may not always like what we see, but there's some comfort in what happened. We attach a sense of our identity into the things we suffered. Letting our past go means letting a part of ourselves go. It might feel painful to begin moving on from a bad relationship. You might not be ready to accept the loss of a loved one. Maybe the failures you experienced are still too fresh. You don't want to forget any of it. But the only way for you to make progress towards your future is to make the decision to begin letting go. At least, to begin trying. None of the other steps in this video will matter if you aren't clear on why you want to leave your past behind you. We can talk about how to move on, but it won't matter if you don't really want to. Think about what holding on to the past is costing you. The more you get stuck in the past, the more it will consume you completely. If you only focus on what happened, you will never be able to create a different future. Think about the freedom of living a life that isn't tied to the past. Think about what you stand to gain. Think about releasing all of that weight you've been carrying around for way too long. There is courage in leaving the past behind. You just need to decide to take the first steps. 2. Develop more awareness. The average person lives life on autopilot. They glide through their day without thinking about why they do the things they do. Perhaps you do this too. Are there times you find yourself fantasizing about the past without even realizing you're doing it? Ask yourself why. Does it feel better to live in a fantasy of the past rather than facing your life in the present? Are you holding on to something as a way of coping with how things turned out? Only you can find the reasons. This step isn't easy, but it's entirely necessary if you want to start becoming more aware. With awareness comes a greater degree of control. Be honest with yourself. This will pay off immensely in the long run. When you understand why the past is so important to you, you'll have the power to change. 3. Release your repressed emotions. The more you hold an emotion down, the stronger it gets. No matter how much you try to distract yourself, it will keep crying out to you. Our emotions are messages. They're trying to tell us something. It's time to listen. You've probably heard about repressed emotions before. If not, here's an example of the havoc they can cause in your life. John has reached middle age. He's not happy about it because he isn't happy about much at all. John is a man who has squashed his anger inside for most of his life, struggling to repress his hurt. Society tells him he isn't allowed to feel. He isn't allowed to cry. And then one day he blows up. All at once, the anger he has been keeping down comes out in destructive ways. He flies into a fury with his boss and gets himself fired. He becomes unreasonable and causes friction in his marriage. His own children are afraid of him. Looking in the mirror, he doesn't like what he sees. He doesn't like the person he's become. In the end, his emotions found their way out and became a force of destruction in his life. You don't want to be like John. You don't want to wait that long. You want to pay attention now before it's too late. Take some time out of your schedule to reflect. Really think about the emotions that you've been avoiding. These can be recent emotions or emotions from long ago. If you feel tied to the past, what is it that holds you there? What emotions aren't you letting go of? Humans are emotional creatures. Sometimes logic just isn't enough. Sometimes we need to feel. The best thing you can do is to let it all out. 4. Accept the past for what it is. We all know what it feels like to regret. Sometimes fantasizing about the past feels like some sort of solution. That if we imagine it differently, then maybe we might feel better. It's enticing to fantasize, but it doesn't help us to have healthy recollections of the past. You need to accept what happened in order to really leave it behind you. Acceptance is the key. If you experience some sort of loss, it can take time to find acceptance. If that's the case, then take as long as you need. We all need to act at our own pace. The best place to start is by looking back on what happened and doing your best not to judge anyone, including yourself. See things as they were. Remove judgment so that it seems detached. The clearer you can see things, the better. Try not to get muddled up. You may feel all kinds of emotions, and that's okay. Like we said earlier, repressing emotions leads to all kinds of negative effects in our lives. Just feel them. Accept any and all emotions, even if they're painful ones. This process will get easier with practice. The more we accept things for how they were, the more we are able to let it all go and move on. 5. Learn from the past. It doesn't always feel like it, but the past can be a great source of learning. Experience is the best teacher, after all. The most successful people, whether that be in business, health, or relationships, tend to learn from their failures. How can you learn from your past? Is there a way you can use your experiences to empower you? Take a teenage girl who found the courage to ask her crush out on a date, but was rejected. She could look back on this and decide that the lesson is to never ask anyone out ever again. While this might seem sensible in the moment, it only acts to limit her. This lesson is driven by fear of feeling that rejection again. You don't want to learn based off of negative emotions like fear. When you learn, think about what serves you. Imagine if she used this experience as a confidence booster instead. What if she looked back and realized that it wasn't so serious, and that she was strong enough to make it through? What if she learned what not to do? If she took that approach, the memory would empower her rather than disempower her. She could take as much positive meaning as she needs and then let it go. The potential lessons are endless. It's up to you what you take from your past. Think over the events and see what they could have been teaching you all along. The more you learn, the less likely you are to make the same mistakes again. 6. Find forgiveness for others and for yourself. When you've been wronged, sometimes the last thing you want to do is forgive. But holding on to the upsets, the pain, and the anger of the past only ties you to it. The more you hold on, the more power that person has over your life because you're still holding on to the past. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. It means deciding that you no longer want to hold on to anger and hurt within yourself. It's the ultimate expression of letting go and moving on. If you want to keep the person who hurt you in your life, then that's your choice, but you don't have to. The important difference is that you've let go of what happened and forgiven them either way. Apply this forgiveness to yourself too. Maybe you've made mistakes. You certainly aren't alone if you have. Understand that you only did the best you could. Take what you learned and let the rest go. This is one of the most important steps for leaving the past behind you. In order to move on, you have to forgive. 7. Make new memories. Life in the present can sometimes take a backseat to the pain of the past. We stop living in the here and now. Now that you've started releasing the pain of the past, it's important to make newer, happier memories right now. We can get so caught up in all the worst things in our lives that we forget all the best things. Spend some time with your loved ones. Go on adventures and have new experiences. Become the person you want to be. The more you create a positive life now, the more positive memories you will get to think back on in the future. Sometimes the best way to leave your past behind is to create a better present. What have you been holding on to? How long have you been stuck in the past? Be sure to comment below and let us know. We get video ideas from your feedback, so tell us what you're trying to overcome. If you're looking to learn more about the forgiveness process, then check out our other videos where we delve deeper into how and why this is important. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more content.